Ed coming back with a video response, something you haven't heard on the channel in several years, but doing a video response for John 3D 80s Kids. He is asking a really cool question to go back to check your first video up on your channel and to explain how things are different from when you started till now. Now for me, a video like that could be probably over an hour, just talking about the passage of time and how things have changed here on YouTube. I'm going to try to give the condensed version, but John's doing this because he's celebrating his 2-year anniversary of making videos here on YouTube. So congratulations on 2 years, John. It was nice meeting you at the National, and been enjoying the video responses that I've been seeing pop up in my subscriber feed. So I've been enjoying seeing people's different responses to this contest. Now, my first video is from 17 years ago, and the first couple videos up on the channel are all from Otakon. If you don't know what Otakon is, it's pretty much a DIY, a do-it-yourself, independent, not-for-profit anime convention at one point was the largest anime convention in the country. One year it did actually beat out the corporate giants that are Anime Expo on the West Coast. I think it was 2003 or 4 that they beat out Anime Expo. But to just beat out a giant like that in the convention space is pretty remarkable. So Otakon's still going strong. It was in Baltimore, Maryland for many, many years. I went to Otakon from 2004 to 2019. Haven't been to Otakon since the pandemic. And another reason why I haven't been back to Otakon is also because the National tends to fall the same week as Otakon. So when you have a lot of different hobbies, unfortunately, some things get priority more than others. And for many, many years, going to Otakon was one of my favorite things to do. And so you can see the first one here is a panel that I went to it was a guest panel with Steve Bloom, who's a really prolific voice actor, has done a lot of great voice work over the years. One of my favorite roles that he did was Spike from Cowboy Bebop. But a lot of people tend to know him from Star Wars. He was the voice of Zeb in Rebels. But he was also the voice of Wolverine in a lot of the different Marvel animations as well. So he has a ton of range, big into video games, doing voice work for video games as well. And just a really, really awesome voice actor and awesome talent. And then was a couple other videos. This guy was acting crazy. That was on a Saturday night. This was the Mario Kart Double Dash tournament on the GameCube. I think I came in the top pool for that. I didn't win it, but I came pretty close to winning it. And then the other video here is how to survive the zombie apocalypse, which I've always been big into the zombie genre, which if you know my YouTube username, the first part of that, Wesker, comes from the Resident Evil series. Albert Wesker, who's one of the antagonists throughout the course of the series. I've talked about it before on the channel, but that's how I created my YouTube username. I created my YouTube username while I was still in high school in a computer lab during like 6th, 7th period back in 2007. So it's been quite a while that I've been on here. But I started making card videos. Well, I became aware of the card community kind of around 2007, 2008. Around that time, the Phillies were just on the cusp of, well, the Phillies won the World Series in 2008, but in 2007 they had an incredible season and were able to win the NL East in the final days of the season. So I was getting really heavily checking out card videos on YouTube, and there was a lot of that. There was a lot of breakers like Cards Infinity, Chad Thunder in 24, AR Falk 77, Gary King of Steak. There was a lot of people on here doing cards around the time. Some of the first videos on here were card videos. So I was checking out videos, checking out breaks. seeing what was in these boxes. And then also I was really heavily into TTMing, which is through the mail autographs, sending out autograph requests. And back in those days, the TTM community and the card community were kind of like brother communities. They were a lot of people mingled between both communities. So part of the reason to start doing TTMing videos was to get the information out there on who was signing and who you can get through the mail. And it was a great way for people to know which current baseball players were signing, which retired guys were signing. So it was just a really, really fun time. This was before Google also bought out YouTube. YouTube was its own thing, so it was more user-friendly in a way. There was a user interface where you can send messages, you can directly message people. You had an inbox, a messaging system. So the community back then was a pretty decent size too. I know a couple people mentioned that the community was very small, very petite. I would kind of push back on that a little bit. The community was definitely not really small like that. There was a lot of people, like, for instance, Chad had well over 1,000 subs. I think he had like 2,500 subs at one point back then. Also Sevens, he had well over 1,000 subs. I remember back, I'm old enough to remember when 1,000 subs was like, that was a hallmark of how much effort you would put into the community and how much active you were and how much of a part of the community you were, that you had a sub count like that. Basically everyone in the community would be sub to you with a view count like that. So the community now, I should say, is light years bigger. I don't want to mince words. It's way bigger now, make no bones about it. I mean, last year the National broke a record for attendance, and that was set since 1991. Obviously, the interest is through the roof, but the community back then definitely was awesome. It was incredible. Basically, everyone was a collector. Yeah, and it was so much fun. I got a lot of nostalgia for it. Oftentimes, that's when people sometimes say stuff, I might get a little crabby because I don't like when that era is misrepresented. But yeah, those were, in my opinion, those were the glory days of YouTube. As you can see here, look, there's a vintage video. Vintage 1960 baseball card show-off 12 years ago up on the channel. That was when I was actually showing off a lot of my dad's 1960s baseball cards. A couple of them I did get graded. Most of them went into the binders. And a few actually, most of the Phillies I sent off and got signed TTM and then got them PSA DNA authenticated. So all those cards are still very much in the collection. But yeah, pretty much made daily videos for 13 straight years, never taking a break. So in that time span, you see a lot of people come and go. It's crazy. Just you think of all the people that have been on here and are no longer on here, and then also the people that have passed away. So this was really cool. This is when I saw Hank Aaron give a speech for Frank Robinson at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. That's when they were unveiling the statues that are still there out in the outfield porch deck. But yeah, Hank Aaron came out for Frank Robinson, gave a good speech. It was drizzling that day, a little bit of rain, but the amount of legends that were there. In this video in particular, there's Earl Weaver, Eddie Murray, Jim Palmer, Brooks Robinson, pretty much every Oriole Hall of Famer you can think of, and a lot of guys from the 60s and 70s. But a moment I won't ever forget, George Bush. I got him, President Bush, he was sending out autographs at one point for his book. So yeah, I think I got 950 videos on the channel, so there's a lot of videos, so I won't continue going through all these, but the evolution of the channel, I mean, I'm pretty much still the same. I just continue doing the videos as a way to document my collection, document my collecting journey, and the friendships forged along the way. And it's always just been a lot of fun. That's why I continue to do it. That's why I stress anyone to who's on the fence about doing YouTube videos to just jump in and do it, and to just have fun with it. Don't be trying to chase like the views or the subs. I mean, it is fun to get those things, but at the end of the day, it's all about the relationships and all about meeting people at card shows and just continuing the friendships. And started this thing like 13, 14 years ago, and I still talk to people that I've interacted with all those years ago. So decades worth of interactions and doing this thing. So can't stress it enough. So John, I appreciate you doing this. A YouTuber that I highly recommend you check out, who I don't think you're sub to, is an old school YouTuber who was at the National. His name is Paul P. Daz, Mr. Dazzler. I'll leave his link down below. I'm not sure if you're subscribed to him, but he still makes videos. He was been on here longer than me. Think he was making videos in 07 and onward. So check him out. Awesome YouTuber. Not sure if you met him at the National. I don't believe he was at the American Legion meetup. Or no, I think he was. He was there. But Paul P. Daz. So that's all I got for you. Have a great one.